Here we are at Penske Truck Leasing in Ontario, California, where their big challenge is to create charging infrastructure for their customers with all these different models of trucks. Let's go check it out.
So the unique thing about Penske is really what we're called as a fleet of fleets. So we run a lot of customer fleets. We have over 400,000 vehicles in our own personal fleet. So this was one of our original sites with the Daimler co-creation project. So when we first started, this was slated for 6 charging stalls, and we quickly realized our customers gravitated here as kind of a destination of charging. So as we recognized that, we really started to dub it our kind of our center of excellence in our charging network.
For this site here for Penske, they started pre-planning in probably 2018 and before. This site has had multiple types of charging stations on it. It's their test bed. So we get to install and see all types of different charging systems. You have to predict where you're going to be in the future so you can be prepared for not only what this system is going to do, but what you're going to learn from this system and what you're going to expect from your system in the future.
Starting on this journey is so important because you learn so much. And so that's one of the things I encourage any customer to do is get started, because you're going to find things that don't work for you, or how hard it is to get infrastructure and all of those things, and you'll start to learn that with just a couple.
As we thought about future-proofing and the new technology and really not knowing where the industry was going, it allowed us to adapt and grow the charging from about 6 stalls to now 12 here, about 1 megawatt of charging. We also put our battery in, which for the first of its kind for us, wasn't really sure where that would get us, but we're now realizing about a 40% savings with heavy charging utilization, which is really key, I think, to the larger growth of our network.
In this particular location, Penske's using Shell Sky software to really help manage the chargers and to give them the data they need to make good, smart charging decisions. And there's also another layer that Sky provides as well, as really looking at the grid services. So making sure that Penske's charging at the right times, at the right intervals, with the right prices to help them really manage this whole process, because it can be very complex.
We're here to help them along the way. I think the most successful projects have been where the customer and the utility are collaborating and trying to achieve the common goal. And when we come across issues, we work on them together. We stay in communication constantly, so there are no surprises and everyone knows what to expect.
So in August of 2021, we introduced the EMV that's behind me. Penske, almost on day 1, gave us feedback they didn't like the location of the charger. They actually got our first 5 trucks that were delivered in the United States. So the next truck they get is going to have a different charger location based on their feedback. Penske, whether it's ICE or electric, always challenges us to be better. So I think that's one of the best things about, as we've worked with them on these electric vehicles. They're not shy, but they're also very data-driven. And so it's not emotional, this is what I need to run the business, and so they challenge us to get better.
I think what we're seeing with started with the co-creation fleet and now our own personal customers and logistics, a lot of the drivers really like the truck technology. They're really comfortable driving it, and they're really getting more comfortable with bringing it back with a state of charge that makes them feel good about their routes. The charging itself is starting to stabilize a lot, and really takes that fear and unknown away once they've run that route. So, getting in, trying some of the technology, getting a truck in your fleet, is a good way to really see if that is where you want to go with your fleet.
But I'll be honest with you, the first thing I did love about it, it was no vibration in the cab. It was quiet. The torque was direct. I love the steering on it. Very smooth. It doesn't take much to turn it. The beautiful thing I love about this tractor is that I can keep it in an idle, and there's no emissions coming from it at all. Which is great. I can have the AC running on it, I can have the heater running on it, and there is no idling involved. Give it a shot. Try it. You won't regret it.
I think it's a revolution. It's a different powertrain, so people want to downplay the fact that it's just a powertrain. But the impact to how we think about what we do every day, I really think it's very comparable to when horse and buggy was displaced by internal combustion engine. And I actually have seen a lot of parallels because people have asked me, you know, why should I believe that this is going to happen and what is it going to be like? But at the turn of the century, there were actually political and social pressures to go to internal combustion engines. And then the right price point, in about a 25-year period, horse and buggy was displaced with internal combustion engine. And that's kind of what we're saying is going to happen on electric vehicles. That in the next 25 to 30 years, we expect everything to be displaced, and we've got proof points in the past that that kind of transformation can take place.
There is a lot of good momentum with a lot of the partners, the OEMs and the charger manufacturers out there. So as you see more and more partnering up and really getting that interoperability figured out, getting those charges figured out, really standardizing, you know, the plugs, the voltage and all of that, I think it's really starting to stabilize the industry, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
In our installations, Beard Electric rents an electric e-transit van from Penske, and our crews are able to understand charging requirements and understand the common challenges that our customers have. In operating an electric vehicle, we've understand the charging speeds, and so we take that information that's coming back from our crews that are driving the vehicles, and we're able to put in a more knowledgeable system because we have that information.
Being here with the Penske team's great. Shell and Penske have a long relationship with one another, working across various different sectors. And to be here to see how they're getting this program started and how we help support this program is really gratifying. And I hope I can look back in 25, 30 years when these places are much bigger, much more complex, and I can say, hey, my team and I were really part of that. We're part of getting that off the ground, and look where it's grown into.
You know, it's fun. I enjoy driving it because it makes me feel like I have a chance in my life to be part of a technology that is part of the future, and I'm thrilled about it.
You know, our vehicle supply is constantly looking at all of the new OEM startups, you know, and the people entering the space, and really giving our customers a true evaluation on what's out there. You know, from the facility side, we're looking at all the manufacturers out there, from the charging network, from the software and the OEMs. You know, we have marketing really helping us try to drive that adoption. We have a maintenance team that's really looking ahead and saying, you know, how much data can I get so I can really understand the maintenance of those vehicles, what that future looks like for Penske. It's a great feeling when you spend a lot of time with a lot of folks, when you get all this infrastructure in and it's really working the way it's supposed to be. That's really where the industry needs to get to.